Ciao, I'm Mary Ann Esposito, and I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I'm still in Gloucester. I've really enjoyed being in this city, and while I've been here, people have told me about a wonderful pastry shop, a Sicilian pastry shop called Caffe Sicilia, and I'm going in there to learn how to make one of my very favorite desserts, Cassata Siciliana. That's it, real fast, real fast. Come on, get that baseball arm moving. Oh, perfect.
Okay.
Okay. Non c'è ketchup.
No.
Basta?
Sì.
Sono molto delicati.
Molto delicato. Grazie a lei.
Grazie Mariana, grazie a voi.
You know, my mother's favorite leftover sandwich. Come on, you're Italian. Isn't this beautiful? Look at how pretty this is. It's delicious. How do you like that? I think you're great. And now we're ready to do the twist. So, looks gorgeous, smells wonderful.
I use my hands.
I love this woman. Okay. Caffe Sicilia in Gloucester, Mass. may be small on the outside and inside, but don't let that fool you. People from all over America travel here to taste something they can't find anywhere else. Authentic Italian dolce, created by Paul and Anna Ciramitaro, whose love of pastry goes right down to their fingertips. Today, I'm about to see them in action because they've invited me into their very small bakery to watch them build a very big cake. So, when you make these cassate, how many do you make usually?
Depends how many people they order, Mary Ann. You know, sometimes we can make it 10, sometimes we can make it 5. You know, people they want it for all kind of occasions. You know what I mean? Such as a birthday, wedding, anniversary.
It's a very popular Sicilian dessert,
Oh,
right?
this is a traditional Sicilian cake, which has become for a long time. In Sicily, we have tradition for making cassata with ricotta, famous ricotta in Sicily, like goat cheese, you know? It doesn't come from cow.
So Anna's putting on the ricotta now.
Yes.
Ricotta con un po' di zucchero.
Yes,
See?
un po' di zucchero,
So we spread this out. And this cake, we should say, is something called a pan di Spagna.
Pan di Spagna,
which
sì.
Translates to Spanish bread, right?
Spanish bread, correct, correct. It's made in a pan, a round
Yes,
pan.
yes.
Depends on the size, 8-inch,
Okay.
10-inch, 12-inch.
So now Anna's putting on a little rum, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's a rum with which is a rum and sugar and water. Mostly a lot of water. It's not really rum. You know what I mean?
Maybe a rum flavoring.
It's a rum flavor, correct. Another layer
Wow.
on top to cover it up, and then we spray more rum, which I described before. It's water and sugar.
Yeah.
You know, and flavor, and. When it's be done like that, to give a more taste to the pan di Spagna,
And
which
keep
we
the
call-
keep the cake
and
moist.
keep the cake moist because the ricotta absorbs a lot on the sponge. You know what I mean?
You only need a small slice of it probably.
Yes.
So now she's doing the sides.
Now she's putting it in.
Oh, was this a whipped cream?
The whipping cream all over around to cover the ricotta and
Make the cake look nice.
make the cake very, very looking beautiful. And then,
Boy, she turns these out in no time.
yeah. Well,
You like doing this, Anna, right? This is a good job, right? Yeah. Yeah.
I love it, do this.
Yes. I can see
I do with love.
You can do it in your sleep probably because you make so many.
I love and I enjoy do it.
This is a real Sicilian comfort food, isn't it?
Yes.
People love this because it is just so
People,
special.
yeah, they love very much. This is, you know, it's very, very
We do,
tradition. You know.
we do even a wedding cake.
You
like
make wedding
that.
cakes out of
Like
the
that.
cassata.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah. We're gonna put some marzipan all the way around.
Which we know as pasta reale,
Pasta reale,
which is
correct.
called
Which
royal
is
paste.
It's an almond paste with pistachio flavor, you know. And now we're gonna roll them up, make it thin. That way we can put some cornstarch to don't stick on the underneath on the table, and which we pin them out. And right now has been given the more professional on the cake. You
The
know?
shape on the cake.
The shape is very you know.
So you use this pastry cone to just
Yes.
comb it out, make it look very smooth.
Correct.
Yes.
And straight. The cake is gotta look straight.
What's nice about this is that you're using the ingredients that are natural to Sicily.
Yes.
The
natural.
almond paste, because there are
almond.
so many almond trees.
Yes.
The pistachio nuts.
Because there's so many pistachio
Right.
nuts in
And the
Sicily.
ricotta cheese, because they make so much ricotta cheese in Sicily, right?
Correct.
Okay, now here's the almond. This is, I always love this because it's such a beautiful color. And now we need un mattarello. See, un mattarello.
Mozzarella, which is the pin,
Yes.
rolling pin.
Now, did you learn to do this from a very young age?
No, a lot of people in Sicily, they do when they're very young and traditional, where they have probably parents, they have bakery, you know. My wife, she has a cousin, which they are in the bakery business from generation to generation. They teach us how to do the pastry shop. If you have a little love, you can learn.
That's right.
Mary Ann. You know, it don't mean any age.
That's
You
true.
gotta do it with the love.
You got to
That's
have
what it
the
is.
interest.
With
Well, I
love.
can see Anna here is just moving along so rapidly. I said now she's going to cut it into a nice long strip to go around the cake, right?
Yes, yes. She's gonna cut like the eye on the cake. That way you can put it all the way around.
It's a nice dough to work with. It just rolls
Yeah.
out beautifully,
And you gotta
doesn't
put
it?
a lot of cornstarch, Mary Ann,
Yeah,
because
so you don't want it to stick.
to don't stick. You know what I mean? It's like it's sticking in the hand, you know, in the pan.
We gotta try to let it straight.
You want a straight edge because you're going to
Straight
put it
edge.
right around the outside of
And,
the cake. The nice thing about this too is if you make a mistake, it's easy to start over, right?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
And you can see it. It's almost.
Now I gotta give a little shine to the dough. See? Because for the cornstarch. And we put this on the side. We gotta get the cake. And I do easily put in the cake. Very easily.
Yes.
It's so
Beautiful.
easy. Now, that's
Now you
the
cut off-
best part is this one. We gotta cut this straight.
And you can be very creative with something like this if somebody wants to do
See,
something very
yeah, yeah.
personal and special. But we're making the real traditional one.
Yeah,
This is the
this
very
is the real
traditional.
tradition. Yeah.
Now, the best is on the top.
Beautiful.
And she does a little decoration, and then
So Anna, when did you start learning how to make Sicilian pastries? Were you a young girl when you started?
Well, in my family, everybody been do pastry.
So you were,
Everybody been having a coffee shop, and the coffee shop then been do his own pastry. And like I've been creating here.
gorgeous. Oh,
Okay.
I want to take this home. This is beautiful.
it's very, very,
Oh, it's
very
beautiful.
talented too. It's-
Oh, yes.
And
Now that's what we're gonna do. That's
now she's gonna do a little bit more.
the beautiful part.
Is
I can see you're getting very excited about this now, Anna, because you really enjoy doing
Yes,
this. I can
I
tell.
love it. I love it to do it. That's the best part.
And now more decoration
Yeah.
on top.
And,
more, a little bit more for separated. You know what I
now
mean?
we do a little bit fancy.
What is this now?
This is a piping gel, like
Okay.
a piping gel, you know, for decoration. You will see it as we going on.
Boy, that really dresses it.
Yeah.
You know what I love about this cassata is that when you look at it, you have that happy feeling about Sicily, don't
Yeah.
you? Because
Yes,
everything
yes,
in
yes.
Sicily is so vibrant.
Yeah.
And this cake is a reflection of that.
The smell between the ricotta
smell,
and the sponge, it's lovely.
It's very aroma, you know, from Sicily that you have those almond, the bitter almond.
The
it's
bitter
in there.
almonds, yes.
Yeah, and the
We
flavor on the ricotta too will give you that.
Now, before I put this away,
that is
I
gorgeous.
want to write down Ciao Italia.
Ciao
right?
Italia. Oh, I'll have to take it home now, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's going to be a
I'll give it to you.
Oh, I guess I don't have to tell you how to spell it, right? Oh, this is great. I don't often get a personalized cake like this. It's wonderful. Beautiful. Bravissima, signora,
Grazie.
bravissima. All right.
Prendiamo la pera.
All right, we're going to start with pears, candied pears. Now, these are a specialty fruits from Sicily.
La tagliamo in 4 parti e ne metto un pezzo qua.
So you're going to cut them
Quello le
in
metto
four pieces.
pieces.
Okay.
Poi prendiamo un altro pezzo di pera.
This is a different type of pear.
Sì.
Those are red pears.
Red pears,
Red
La
pears.
tagliamo in 4 pezzi pure.
Sì,
E prendiamo
four.
solo un pezzettino.
sì,
She
qua.
cuts in 4
E la
pieces.
mettiamo uno qua e uno qua.
Beautiful.
E mo ho dimenticato di mettere un altro pezzo
Sì,
qua.
sì, sì, va
E
bene.
adesso prendiamo
Figs.
Ah,
la
i
fichi.
fichi, sì. These are the green figs.
Yes,
the
green
green
figs.
figs. See. Oh, I don't know how much more beautiful this can get.
Prendiamo il limone.
Ah,
lemon,
sì,
the
limone.
lemon.
Lemon,
From
yes.
Sicily.
Tagliamo il limone. We cut
Look
the
at,
lemon.
still has the seeds inside.
With the seeds
It's
in it.
nice.
And the juice.
Yes, yes.
Tagliamo un altro
It's green.
pezzo.
Because the citrus fruit
And
in
we
Sicily
put
is
inside
wonderful.
here.
We're going to leave the seeds right there. Beautiful.
Yes. Now we got
Un po' di cedro,
cedro.
which is citron.
Citron.
Candied
That's
citron.
real citron.
Yes,
You-
yes.
We cut in a couple of slices all the time because we need all the time those
The
cedro.
citron, yes, and that's
And
used
I cut it
into little pieces.
little pieces and I stuck it here.
Mm-hmm. And they stay right in that,
Yes,
Yes.
they stay
The
under
whipping
the
cream and the
edge.
whipping cream.
This is the most beautiful thing I have ever seen. Now I can see why people want this cake.
Yeah,
this
because
is,
this is a very, very, very good cake. It's nothing to make it bad.
Mm-hmm.
When a people eat a piece of that, enjoy. You don't need a lot because
Oh, it's so
you
rich.
It's so rich you cannot eat a lot. You know, you'll probably eat just enough a slice, which I don't
Allora.
call a big slice.
allora, finito.
And this
Adesso-
is the cake all done.
All done.
The cake is all done. Now, I give it this to Paolo
See?
because that way I give it to you. To Ciao
È un
Italia.
regalo,
È un
sì,
regalo.
è un regalo.
E Paolo
It's
la-
a gift.
Paolo,
A gift for us to Ciao Italia program for
And-
Mary Ann.
Oh,
Paolo, he put in the box for you.
see. And while he's doing that, you and I need to go nella cucina, or I'm going to try and top this with more dolci. That was a fabulous cake that Paul and Anna Ciramitaro made for us, wasn't it? A cassata. And really, it was the nuns in the convents of Sicily who first put that kind of a cake together. Well, today I'm going to try to make something that's maybe comparable to that cake, something called Salame Inglese. And that translates to English salami. And it's really a cake. And you start with 4 eggs in a bowl, and you really want to whip a lot of air into the eggs. I added a little bit of grated fresh lemon zest. And now we want to put in a cup of sugar. Want to make sure that the sugar is really well dissolved in the egg yolks. This cake is kind of like a sponge cake in that it really doesn't have any other fat other than the egg yolks. There's no butter in it. So get that really foamy so that you have a nice emulsion. And then you want to add in 1/3 cup of water and a tablespoon of lemon, or of vanilla rather, vanilla extract. If you want to use lemon, you could use lemon too. And that looks great. And then we need to put in the flour. And for that, you want to use cake flour. Here's a tablespoon or a teaspoon of baking powder and some salt. And all we want to do is sift that. And the reason you want to use cake flour is because that is a low protein flour. And it will make a very tender cake. You really don't want to use an all-purpose unbleached flour, otherwise you're going to have a cake that's a little more tough in texture. Then you can put the flour in and go back to mixing up the cake. And this is not going to take very long to bake now. You want to have your oven on at 350 degrees, and you want to have a jelly roll pan all ready for this cake. This is a cake that we're going to have to roll up. That's because it's a jelly roll, and we're going to be filling it with an interesting pudding. So that looks good. And now we want to put that on our pan. So let me get mine. Here it is, all ready for the oven. And you just take this batter and pour it right onto the pan. And it's a very loose batter, so it's going to fill that pan really easily. And you just want to smooth out then the ends in the corners so that everything is even. I'm going to push mine right into the corners. And now that can go into the oven. And we're going to put it right in the oven, and we're going to watch this now. This is only going to cook, in about 8 to 10 minutes or so. Here in the bottom oven, I have one cooking for you. I always say when it just is a little bit soft to the touch, you've got to wait maybe about a minute or so. It starts, and you want to listen to it. It feels spongy. It's not quite ready. I'm going to leave it in there just for a minute and tell you about the cream that we're going to use for this. We're going to make a pudding. And the pudding is just a vanilla pudding that you would make at home. And it has just flour and sugar and milk, and you cook it until it's thick. And it looks something like this. And then all I did was add some pistachio nuts, some natural pistachio nuts that I took out of the shell and just cut up and put them into our cream. Now I think we can go back and look at that cake. So before I do that, I've got to make room. Put my pudding out of the way because we have to turn this cake out. And we have to turn it out onto a towel. Just clean up my mess there. You know, when you're in the kitchen, you always have spills here and there. So here's my towel, and we want to put some confectioner's sugar now down on the towel because we don't want the cake to stick. I love doing this part. It's always fun. So there's our confectioner's sugar, and now let's see where we are with the cake. You don't want this cake to brown too much because if it does, it will be very difficult to roll. And I think it's ready. So now I'm going to take it out. And it smells beautiful. Look at this. Isn't this gorgeous? And now you grab the end of the bake sheet and take the cake and you just flop it right on the towel. And then take and lift up the pan. And there's your cake. Isn't that beautiful? Now, what we have to do is roll the cake up. And I'm going to turn this around now for you so I can do that, so you can see this. And you take the towel, take one end of the cake, and just roll it right in the towel. Some people roll the towel up with it. I just use the towel as a guide to get the cake rolled, and you see how beautifully that rolls up. Then you just put that off to the side, and you let that cool for a while. Now let me clean up again, because when you do this cake, you gotta have a vacuum cleaner nearby. There, now, all we did was fill the jelly roll with the pudding, and let me show you what else we put with it. Here are two that I started earlier. And to do the one in the mold that we're going to do, you're going to have to make 2 jelly rolls. But I put a layer of jam down first, and I used something called Amarena, which is a sour cherry jam, and these cherries come from around Bologna and Modena. And you can buy the cherries themselves in a jar. They look like this. They're whole, you see? Just whole cherries, and all we did was grind those up, and you get a jam. Now, if you couldn't find this, well, then you could use something else. Use a strawberry jam. So now we need our mold, because this just isn't a jelly roll. This is going to be an exquisite looking cake. And here we have a 2.5 quart bowl that we've lined with some plastic wrap. And we have our jelly rolls ready, and all you do is take the slices, and I start lining the bowl. So I put 2 in the base. And now we're going to be turning this out, so it's what you put on the inside of the bowl that you're going to see when you turn this out. And just start making a layer of the cake as you go around the bowl. Now this is a very sweet tasting cake, very much like the cassata that we saw at Cafe Sicilia, and that's because in Sicily, desserts tend to be very, very sweet because the Italians do have a sweet tooth. So there's my first layer. Now we need the pudding. And so you take some of this, look at how beautiful that is, and you put a layer right there in the base. You see? Just like that. And then I take more cake and put another 2 pieces on top of that. And you keep building this cake. So now I want to make another wall. And you see how beautiful this just goes together. And it looks like you've spent a lot of time in the kitchen, but you really haven't, because you can do a lot of this ahead of time. You can make the jelly rolls ahead of time. You can keep them in the refrigerator for a day. It's actually better because then the jelly will stay very nicely in the roll without seeping out because it'll be a little colder. And put one more right there. This is a great idea for a special occasion, an anniversary, whatever. Now we're going to put a little bit more of the filling on top of these 2 slices in the base. And now we continue with our jelly roll. I told you had to make 2 of these if you want to fill a 2.5 quart mold. You can make 1 cake and fill a much smaller mold. But since I'm making this for a special occasion, I want to make sure that I have enough for everybody. And you continue going like this. And now another layer of cake goes over that. And when we get to the top, we put this in the refrigerator, and you really want to chill this several hours. It's best really if you do it overnight. So another layer of pudding, and I think I can get 1 more layer of cake, and then we will put this in the refrigerator. And I've got one that I made a little earlier for you. Get this one over here. And I think that looks great. Whoops, let me put 1 more piece right there. There. Now, we cover the bowl just like that. Pat it down so it's really pushing the cake down in. And in the refrigerator it goes. And if your hands are sticky, that's okay. You can wash the door later. Then you bring out the one that you have, that you did earlier. And now you need a wonderful dish to put this on. So let me move this out of the way and unwrap this for you. Here's the one that I chilled earlier. Take the paper out of the way. Then put your plate over the top. Do a flip. Move it to the center of the dish. And take off the top. Take off the paper. And there you have it. A gorgeous Salame Inglese. Now look at how beautiful this looks. I piped a little bit of whipped cream around the top and the base, and I flavored the whipped cream with a little bit of alchemists, which is a liqueur that you can get from Florence, but you could also use something like a raspberry liqueur that you could find anywhere. And then I just like to decorate this with some of those wonderful Amarena cherries. You know that is the filling in the jelly roll itself. And then how about a few sprigs of mint to make this look gorgeous? Well, today we have done 2 fabulous desserts for you. The Salame Inglese and that fabulous Cassata. And until I see you nella cucina again, I'm Mary Ann Esposito. Ciao.